Good afternoon. We are right at noon Wednesday. It is Winning a Wealth Wednesday. Shatika Hustler coming to you, your favorite retirement consultant, helping you retire before you expire. So if that's what you desire and what you aspire, then we are the ones you hire. Our goal really is to get your bank account on fire with a whole lot of lifetime tax-free retirement income that you will not outlive. All right. And so I know that we actually did about a month and a half or two ago, we talked about 10 retirement mistakes that people make. And I wanted to talk about eight more today. And so, with that being said, let's jump right into the content. I do want to log into another place real quick, if you don't mind, because we are on various platforms. And so I am on Instagram and I'm going to make sure that I go live there as well, primarily. Yes, I am actually just coming back. Um, and I don't need to put a title, so I'll just do retirement. All right, good. Let me do a little filter or something on there. All right, so let's talk about number one. I literally was thinking today, if I had to do things all over again, what would I do differently? Right? Because the first thing that I think about is, most people know I did, real estate investing. And that was something that I enjoyed doing. And it was great. But I would have done some things differently. And so real estate is absolutely lucrative. I made a significant amount of money, and some in the short amount of times in real estate. And so I will always advocate for anyone looking to do real estate. It's not a get rich quick scheme by no means. You can make some quick money in certain types of real estate investing, such as wholesaling, double wholesaling. Those are like the fastest ways without having to put that much money down, if any at all, when it comes to that. But you also can do buy and hold, right? And so that's primarily where I focus was the buy and holds for passive income because my goal was to just have that help me retire and receive that income. But since then, I went on to do some other types like crypto trading and some forex trading, and I also did some stock purchases. And I feel like stocks probably was extremely lucrative besides the real estate, because you can make a significant amount when in a short amount of time. In some instances, depending on where you're placing your money at. And so, of course, trend analysis becomes more important when it comes to that. One thing forex trading taught me was trend analysis, and so understanding the trends of the market and understanding how and when to get in and out of the market is very important. So I would tell anyone that you need to do that when you feel like you want to make a sizable amount of money. I feel like stocks, and specifically the S&P 500, we all know it is the index to take a look at because it's your top 500 United States companies, right? So if you're going to look at the top 500 companies, you know they're going to be making money. You know they're going to be winning for the most part. And when I looked at the history of the S&P 500, I saw that there were 9 years that the S&P 500 was actually down. And so that's important to note because even in those years, if you had your money in something that was an index fund, you still would have made money. You just wouldn't have lost any, right? And so my goal is just to make sure that today, as I help people pivot into um, better financial decisions or in a portfolio, meaning taking less risk, right? And really looking at how you can win and really grow your funds more. I would say that the model to go to look after would be more of the S&P 500 and how that is flowing. What does that look like? That looks like I said before, in the last 40 years, or I should say 41, there were only 9 years that the S&P 500 was down. And if you had your money inside some type of index fund, you wouldn't have lost any money, but you wouldn't have made any, right? That's how index works. And I've shown you guys that several times if you look at some of my previous presentations. The difference between a fixed, a variable, and an index fund is that the index gives you the best of both worlds. you don't lose any money, but you don't gain any money when the market is going down. And so that's important to understand. So when I think about, 8 retirement mistakes, and I wanna make sure that I'm clear that today I'm not giving you any financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. Um, I am simply giving you facts and I'm giving you some experiences. Okay. I'm coming to you today as an experienced 26-year investor, multi-dimensional investor with various different types of financial vehicles. Because I don't know your financial situation. I don't, so I can't advise you, but I am giving you information, right? And so today I want to talk about the number one thing, which was, what are some mistakes? And so when I think about mistakes, I would say that putting money inside something that's gonna make money for you before and letting whatever you put your money inside that makes you the most the money, when that money makes money for you, in other words, produce those money babies. For example, if you put your money in stocks and you have 100% return, that 100% return would be where you would go and buy liabilities. You wouldn't buy liabilities out of your account, you would buy liabilities out of the money that your income producing asset made you. Or some people reinvest those funds so that they can have even more compounding. But to take money up from your account, um, that's not making any money, okay, and holding it inside of a bank account is just not fruitful. It is not going to help you make money. And so we start looking at how do we position for retirement and what types of financial vehicles are out there. The thing that I would have done differently is I would have definitely continued with stocks, right? I would have continued with that, because as a young person, you have time to absorb a certain amount of risk. Understanding what your risk tolerance is and understanding, what you can afford to lose. We start talking about budgeting and things of that nature. When it comes to investing, super important. I think that often people get in and then they want a miracle, and it's what they last, right? And that's not going to work, because you have to have a plan going into it. You have to have a strategy, and so the strategy should look something like, where can I make the most amount of money at possibly, right? What's my highest probability of making the most amount of money with my money? Where can I put my money at that's going to make me the most money babies, right? And we start talking about money babies. That's essentially the compounding of the money that you have. And so if you think about like real estate and you think about stocks, some very lucrative places to put your money, when it produces you the money babies is where you turn around and take to actually purchase liabilities. You don't purchase the liabilities out of the money that you made, your earned income. You would purchase that out of your income that you've made, right? So I feel like understanding how to position your money and strategize is something that the average person don't really understand, and so people are all over the place, and I was once there too because I didn't understand it. But if I could do anything different, I would never purchase liabilities but earn income if I could help it, right? I would only purchase it with the money babies because I always want my money to always be making money for me while I'm sleeping. I want my money to be working for me harder than I'm working for the money. I don't want to always have to trade time for money. I want my time to be really accelerated in terms of the money making money for me and me not having to trade time for money because why my money's making money for me while I'm sleeping. And so I get to go and play. I get to go on vacation. I get to go and retire. I get to go and do what I want to do because my money has grown to such an extent that it replaces my earned income. I hope that makes sense. My money has to replace my earned income. And so I need to be putting enough money away to where my earned income has been replaced. And then I'm really in a position to retire. So retirement, often say, is not an age, it is an income. And I don't know that people understand that when I say that, but retirement really is an income. Okay. So it's not about you being 64, 62, 65, 72, humma humma. It's really about, do I have enough income that's going to replace the time that I'm trading for earned income? Does that make sense? So I don't want to keep trading my time for money because time is precious and life is short. And so if my money can produce money babies for me while I'm sleeping, multiple ways, and that's what millionaires do, right? That they often have. I once met a millionaire who had 82 businesses. I didn't understand how he could have 82. And that was back in 2017 when I was a part of this mastermind. He had 82 businesses. And the way that works is that you don't have to necessarily be the one running all 82 businesses. You just got a piece of the pie of 82 businesses, or you may be the owner, the principal owner of a few of them. But at the end of the day, you really can do well with one. You don't have to have 82. And let me relieve you. You can do you could be a multi-millionaire with one business. Ask the Steve Jobs of the world and the Jeff Bezos of the world and, Sam Walton. And so it really is about having a really good idea of a solution that you have that can solve a problem that most people really have and they want alleviated, right? Alleviated. And so if you can do that well, you have yourself a business. If you can market it well, you can also have a great business, right? A thriving business, a business making money. So I said all that to say that the number one mistake that a lot of people are making is they want to take their earned income to buy liabilities when they should be taking their money babies and buying liabilities. So if you're taking notes, that's point number one, right? And I am going to be really brief today. We're going to start off with maybe three today. Okay. And we're going to continue this conversation. And the reason why we're going to continue this conversation is I want to be able to make it make sense to you as I flow through these 8 retirement mistakes, and I don't want to talk fast, and I don't want this to be rushed. Okay. And I do want to have some presentations parts to this later on. But today we're just introducing because we want to create greater consistency on the lives. And that is around how do we get away from some of the top retirement mistakes that people make, and that is not retiring with enough money and not having enough cash flow. So number one, my personal, if I had to do everything all over again and just teach my children that how money works, I would first say don't buy liabilities with your earned income if you can help it, right? Now, starting off, you might have to do that your first car or whatever if your family if your parent don't bless you with a car. Um, but the number one concern that most people have, the number one mistake that most people have, and the reason why people cannot retire is because they are over leveraged. They're over leveraged. So number one, right, over leverage. You got to get away from being over leveraged. If you can live not necessarily below your means, but live comfortably and allow your assets to be purchased, or I should say, okay, allow your assets to be purchased by other assets or your liabilities to be purchased by other assets, then that's a perfect way. That's a perfect position to be in. All right. And so the first thing is how do you create greater cash flow so that you can get out of being over leveraged? Because that's the first problem that most people have. The number one problem. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. It's just a matter of understanding what you're comfortable with. Number one, what's your risk tolerance? What's your budget? And what's your expectation? Like, what are you trying to achieve when it comes to your income? How much income do you want to have? What is your financial independence number? So if you're in debt $100,000, then your financial independence number would be $100,000. And the average person really don't know how much debt they have. I meet with clients all the time, and it takes them days to go figure out, what they have that's really a liability, all right, that they really need to and what is the interest on that? Understanding what is the interest on that liability, that credit card, that loan or whatever, and then prioritizing that by the highest debt to the highest interest debt to the lowest interest debt, and then paying off the highest interest debt first, and not necessarily doing the snowball effect, but doing the avalanche effect, which gets you out of debt the fastest way. And so when they figure that out, now you have decreased the burden of having to produce so much cash flow because now you're out of debt. But you can do things simultaneously And that's why I say, put your money in something that's going to produce money for you, create greater cash flow for you, and that cash flow is going to pay down your debt. You don't pay your debt down with earned income because your earned income is buying you or putting your money into an asset that's going to produce money babies for you. Your money babies is going to pay down your debt. So you can do them simultaneously. Because people think that I got to pay all this debt off first, then I can start doing. No, that's kind of backwards, right? Think about it now. Because if you're only paying down debt and you're never making money while you're sleeping, you're always going to have to work to pay down debt because you don't have additional capital being created while you're sleeping so that you can pay the debt down faster. So you got your earned income and then you got your investment income. That's both double teaming and paying your debt off. Okay. So your debt is being paid off faster, but also you're paying your debt off highest interest to lowest interest. So that is point number one. That is point number one. Okay. How do we get out of being over leveraged? I just took about 15 minutes to talk about that. And we'll come back on next week to talk more about step number two or challenge number two and how we can combat some other things. We have quite a few different retirement mistakes and 8 areas that specifically we want to really drive home and really talk about and discuss in greater detail. I hope this has helped you. If you found value out of this, feel free to share this with somebody you know that can start tuning in on Wednesdays where we help you win in wealth on our Winning in Wealth Wednesdays. Now, look, the banner is going to come across the screen at below. It's going to basically tell you how you can connect with us. We do have our retirement planning and retirement wellness masterclass on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. consistently. And if you feel like you want to be a part of that, it's absolutely free. You just have to register. And so you want to go to shatika.com, register. I also have a retirement uh, wellness, retirement guide, checklist and guide that's going to be able to help bless you and get you moving in the right direction. All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But for now, that's all I have for you today. We'll see you back here at noon on next Wednesday. And I hope you're winning your wealth because you deserve it. God bless.